Okay, so I watched the new Avatar movie, The Legend of Aang, and I got one thing to say. Paramount, y'all sold the bag, bro. Like, genuinely, that might be one of the greatest movies or animated movies I've seen so far this year. Cause you can genuinely tell that they put love and effort behind this project. And the unfortunate thing to happen for the movie to leak, I genuinely feel bad, bro. Like it's genuinely heartbreaking, especially after seeing it, watching it legally. Okay, you know what? Maybe not legally, but watching it on the legal date and not watching the leak. I had to avoid so many spoilers for this movie, but I kid you not, it did not disappoint. The hype that I was seeing when it leaked, the people that watched it, shout out to y'all because it was definitely that hyped. And I'm still crying that I didn't get to experience it in theaters. That because I know that Paramount did some theoretical releases in some places, but I'm just imagining a worldwide release. It would have been crazy. It's already like breaking records, being like top number one in like sites and like in all that, and just like streaming services. But I'm just saying, just imagine it in theaters. It would have been peak. The animation, the voice acting, the character designs, everything, the lore, the writing behind it, the new character like introductions and stuff. It was peak 10 out of 10 movie. But I had to get my glaze off, because there's something I just want to talk about, that I've seen. I don't know if it's going to be something like a big, but I just have my thoughts on it. So without further ado, let's get right to it. The discussion, I mean. So one thing I've been thinking after finishing watching this movie is that Taga, right? Goaded. Toughest character I've seen in Avatar in a minute. Well, we haven't gotten new like project, but I'm just saying that for a minute, he has been like the toughest character that I've seen from his build, character design, voice acting, um, airbending. He's an airbender. He's a warrior. Okay, but okay, that's beside the point. But I'm just saying that Tugger is genuinely one toughest character that has been introduced in this Avatar franchise. But my discussion or this video is that is Taga a Korra level villain? Not Korra level villain as in comparison, but I after finishing this movie, I just thought to myself that um okay, let me just like try to break down, the Taga's, backstory and stuff. So basically, Taga wasn't an airbender originally. He got his airbending ability from Avatar Sonim. Who's Avatar Sonim? From the movie, we got introduced to Avatar Sonim. Avatar Sonim was an airbender that lived um more than 500 years ago. It might be longer than that though, but she lived a long time ago. And when we get introduced to Avatar Sonim, we learn that she wielded an incredible power. She had a staff. That staff um allowed her to give people bending. Now I know that you're asking yourself, but how is that possible? Well, it all comes from the lion turtles. You know, the same lion turtle that gave Aang the ability to take someone's bending away or lock it. Yeah, that that is the whole basis of Avatar Sonim's staff's power. Basically, she went to the lion turtles, right? And from there she learned how to channel the power or like the spiritual power from the spirit realm. Basically, she was wielding spirit realm powers. In that regard, she was able to give people, banding powers. I don't know if I should say powers, But that is basically like the whole um story behind the introduction of Avatar Sonim. She had a staff, and that staff had spiritual power. It can channel like power from the spirit realm. In that regard, Avatar Sonim had hope that giving people who were non-benders bending the power to bend an element would pave a way for understanding between different benders, different nations, the Earth Nation, the Water Benders, and the Fire Benders, or all of those nations. Then that is where Taga's character come into play. Basically, he was an unbender that got his airbending from Avatar Sonim, and Taga's character is so well written because in his introduction in the movie, he was basically a reflection of Aang. By that I mean he's also the last airbender of his time. You can definitely see the mark designs. You see the airbending marks. Taga's and Avatar Sonium's, they are different from Aang's, basically showing that the animates in Aang's time are different from the animates in Taga's time. So that is one thing that I loved about the writing behind it, because Taga is the last airbender of his time, and Aang is also the last airbender of his time. With Taga being the last airbender of his time, we see him wield crazy airbending techniques that we've never seen before. Yes, we've seen Aang do some crazy airbending techniques or some crazy tricks, but with Taga, it was completely new thing. We saw Taga stop a mountain, literal mountain, using airbending. And it's not just that, oh my god, no, it was big ass mountain, bro. It was genuinely crazy seeing it, because obviously Ang was struggling a little bit, a little bit, because if you watch the movie, Ang was injured and he was basically carrying Taga on his back. But the moment that Taga woke up, he stopped a mountain with his airbending, which is, I think, is one of the craziest feats we've seen so far, especially in terms of airbending. I know that we haven't seen much of airbending feats aside from Ang, but I'm just saying that it is genuinely crazy to see. So with Taga, we see new airbending techniques that have been lost, or not lost per se, but it just goes to show that they in the animate or the um animate culture, there has been some cultural practices that changed over the years or that have been lost. So Taga basically teaches Aang some new techniques, and we see this by Taga using Taga and Aang using themselves as air boomerangs. It was genuinely crazy. Like, I genuinely don't know how to explain it, but if you've watched the movie, it was basically um kind of like an air connected rope that they can use. um each person can just swing the other one far, then that momentum, they can use that momentum to pull the other one, which it was crazy. They were literally stopping tornadoes. They were literally stopping tornadoes. But okay, enough with the yapping, and just being sidetracked. I'm just going to try and talk about like Taga specifically. So Taga, after watching the movie, I saw Taga, then I immediately thought of Zahir from The Legend of Korra. Zahir was also another non-bender that was fo- that was fortunate enough to get airbending, due to the harmonic convergence, right? So we saw Zahir pull one of the craziest moves using airbending as if he was accustomed to it. I don't think that Taga is a Korra level villain. By villain, I mean, I think Taga himself is just a genuine threat, because he learned from an animate. He learned the customs of the animates. He wields crazy techniques that I believe he learned from Avatar Sonim. Taga grew, or was from the time where war was constant. Basically, the reason behind Tagah being, the villain of the movie, sorry for the spoilers, is because he wanted the power of the staff, Sonim Avatar Sonim's staff, so he can bring back his people, his brothers and sisters, because he saw them be killed during, the whole war that was happening before. I wouldn't say war, but wars were happening. So Avatar Sonim's goal was to um try and keep peace. Basically, the enemies of the time, they were peacekeepers, but with the Air Nation rallying together and forming a nation, which was crazy, they basically were killing all of the enemies. As they were peacekeepers, the enemies did not kill. But as soon as the Earth Nation saw that, they were like, hell no. We are going to rally up and we are definitely going to stop the so-called peacekeepers. So Targa was basically traumatized by seeing the Earth Nation kill his brothers and sisters, which led him to have this corrupt soul and crave for this power to stop this war that was happening and give or lead his army or make an army, to suppress the Earth Nation. Because one thing that we see when Saga wakes up, she sees Toph and immediately says, "Oh, an Earthbender," and just tries to go at her. Then Aang stopped him and said, "No, you know what? Relax. She's my friend." You know, that just goes to show that there's a certain type of PTSD. I can go on and on about the things that are in this movie, but I'm planning to just do like separate videos talking about separate different things. But I'm just saying that um Saga, I genuinely think he will be a threat in the Avatar, in the Legend of Korra timeline. By that I mean we saw Zahir struggle fighting Tenzin. Tenzin basically was trained by Aang. So Tenzin is like originally an airbender. He has the techniques. He's learned certain customs, certain techniques from Aang. But we saw the same Aang be whooped by Taga in the movie because Aang was not accustomed to these airbending techniques that Taga was wielding. And the more crazy part, Taga was whooping the group, the gang, Katara, Zuko, Toph, Sokka. He basically was wielding airbending as a little weapon, which is something that we don't see until Zahir, which is why I thought of Zahir when I saw Taga do some crazy, airbending techniques. Because the way that Taga wields it, it's lethal. It's meant to, you know, off somebody. We saw him use his airbending to warp or just to hold like airplanes and crush them using airbending, which is crazy. We saw him use airbending to speed blitz. Use airbending to speed blitz. Basically, he takes the air and compresses it, use it like he's going to hit the Kamehameha. Then using that compressed air, he basically split speed blitzes you, and boom, you're off. He was basically just whooping the gang. It was genuinely crazy, bro. Like that had me shocked. It had me shook. I was like, whoa, genuinely, what is happening? This is supposed to be their prime, and they're getting whooped by a person who has app ending, which is crazy. Like I understand that they haven't fought a person that can wield app ending that seriously because they just like seen everything from Aang's perspective or an Aang app ending, but it was just genuinely crazy. So I do believe that Taga and Zahir are just leagues, you know, leagues apart in terms of being a genuine threat. But I will say though that if Zahir had like an amount of time, let me just say at least 5 years of airbending um practice, I do think Zahir has the potential to be or match up to Tagah, or just, close the gap. Because as it stands, yes, Zahir also wields airbending as a lethal weapon and in aim to kill, but Tagah is just a different beast. He's a different story. I know that I yapped a lot, but I just had to talk about this movie because it was genuine peak, and I will be making separate parts talking about different things because there's so much I want to talk about, especially Avatar Sonim. That had to be one of the craziest low drop in the Avatar franchise, the Avatar story itself, because we were introducing so many things in this movie that correlates that link to the Legend of Korra franchise, and that acts as a bridge between both series, The Legend of Korra and The Last Airbender. Which there were some things in this movie that we saw that you can make theories of regarding the new Avatar franchise that is going to drop, the Seven Havens. So make sure to leave a comment in anything that you want to talk about the movie, or the thing that you liked about the movie if you've seen it, or something that you want me to talk about that we saw in this movie. Just leave a comment down below, and hit the little subscribe button so you can get notified when I upload a video. So this was Elite. Peace.